Hey everybody, JP here. I'm here at NAB 2025 Las Vegas. I'm here with Dan Wallace from Epiphan Video. Dan, good to see you.
Yeah, great to see you, John.
All right. Dan and I are old friends. We've known each other for some time. Love Epiphan. They've been a great partner to work with. I have clients that use Epiphan. Great technology in terms of streaming encoders and a lot of other things that you guys have kind of developed over the past several years. And so I'm excited to kind of take a moment, talk about some of the things you're doing here at NAB, and just discuss like what are you guys like showcasing here at the show, and what's kind of maybe the highlights of what you guys are showcasing to the clients coming through.
Yeah, so I mean, what's exciting for us about being at NAB is it's a chance for us to interact with the users who are, boots on the ground using our products in the field, and it gives us an opportunity to get feedback, and that's really what drives our innovation on these products.
Right.
Is when we get feedback from users, we can release new firmware updates, and we kind of look at our products as a platform. Mm-hmm. So when we release a device like a Pearl device, that is just the inception of that platform, and then we'll continue to add features over the coming months and years based on the kinds of requests that our users have for how they want to capture, record, and stream video.
Yeah, and that's an important part. I think, in being able to capture and recording, and also the functionality now with Epiphan Cloud, Unify, a lot of other, even Epiphan storage now, to be able to actually not only stream and record locally on the Pearl devices, but take that into the Epiphan Cloud on the storage side. Yep. And make that available to download and be able to then take that file, edit, whatever you need to do, right? It's like post-event type editing.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to be able to capture and record video, but at the scale many of our users are doing it, you need a way to transfer those recordings, maybe pair it with a content management system, and to be able to get your video into the cloud, which is what a lot of people want to be able to do, distribute, and offer ways to move the video to where it needs to go.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of that distribution model, if you will, especially with cloud technology, with cloud now being a remote management and remote productions, is having the ability to remotely manage those units on the edge, like fleet units, things like that. And that's the nice part about Epiphan I enjoy using myself for the clients, is being able to go and they call me up and say, hey, can you take a look at the unit? Double check the stream. I can log into the Epiphan Cloud, do what I need to do.
Yeah, you can check up on your users from anywhere.
Yeah, it's like,
and we've even seen some really interesting use cases where, we have live event guys who they're flying all around.
They are.
They're always on the road.
Right.
They might have events happening in different cities or different locations. We even had one of our live event guys was checking on his Pearl devices at an event while he was on a flight using the in-flight Wi-Fi.
That's right.
He's able to check his streams and check on his devices and get that confidence that everything is working well.
Right. Well, and I think that's that kind of that pivoting model, being able to provide some flexibility, and be able to handle that. And so knowing that, you kind of like gotten to where you're at, we're here currently, is there a solution, things you guys are talking about that are coming up maybe for people to check out and just pay attention to as you guys progress now? I mean, I know with the Nano and other products are out there, have been up for some time, and the other larger Pearl devices. Is there anything else coming up that?
Well, I can say that we do have some new hardware coming later this year.
Yeah.
It's in development. We're getting feedback here at NAB on what features people want.
Sure.
But really with our Pearl lineup, it's all about giving more ways to integrate, more ways to control, more ways to pair with other systems, whether it's a content management system, a controller, a cloud destination. We just want to keep giving more ways to integrate Pearl into your workflow so that it can be that reliable and easy to use front end for the users. Under the hood as an administrator, always adding more powerful features to really create that great video experience for the end user.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the key thing about that, is being able to get the whole experience, right? And how do we deliver that content and provide that value to that? And I think that's been one of the key things here I see at the show is, there's a technology that we use, right? The units and everything else in software, hardware and software. But at the same time, there's also the ability to help the client deliver that content, enrich that experience for the online audience.
Absolutely, and we see it on all kinds of different applications, whether that's a university campus that has 200 rooms that they're trying to do lecture capture, or whether it's, like we have our friend Jeremy who's doing automated podcast studios, where a user can get a subscription-based membership to a self-service podcast studio, walk in, sit down, press one button, and by the time they're back at their office, they have a download link for their podcast,
I
right?
think that's a phenomenal one that Jeremy's working on, is the podcast with the automated podcast studio set up. And I'll put a link to Jeremy's website, but he's done a phenomenal job, and just being able to come up with something that's really unique, right? Provide remote management for the production to help support the client, but give them the ability to come into one of his facilities and be able to produce and do their show.
Yeah, totally.
Right? And podcasts have become extremely popular now, right? That's kind of one of the big things in terms of developing content.
Yeah, and I think a big part of it is how scalable it is, right?
That's right.
It's one thing to be able to manage a single podcast studio, but if you have a bunch of different locations, if you have hundreds of users, it starts to become difficult to, as the administrator, be holding everyone's hand through each part of the process. So if we can automate, if we can remove extra steps from the process and just simplify that workflow, I think that's a win for everybody.
Well, and I think that's the key as we go forward. And so jump back to NAB for a moment. What has kind of been the highlights for you guys in seeing the show here? I mean, obviously there's always a lot of activity, a lot of things being communicated, announced, right? Showcasing. Is there anything highlights from the show that you guys take away?
I think one of my exciting takeaways is just how much more robust the cloud side of video is becoming. People want to do remote production, and we've been talking about it for years, but it's now getting to the point where we're able to really do it by integrating all of these different systems. So there's a lot more convergence in the cloud where people can pair up their tools, create that sort of stack that works for them, right? People already have familiarity with certain ways of doing things, and we don't want to break or disrupt the paradigm. If you're familiar with one way of switching or producing your show or mixing your content, we don't necessarily want to disrupt that. We want to just enable even more ease of use in those scenarios.
Right, which is key. I think that's kind of the key, is complementing that process and helping enable them to do more, right?
Yeah, and we see technologies like SRT, like NDI, and these things are really powering these cloud production workflows, right?
Absolutely.
So it's only going to continue to grow. I think we're going to see even more integration. I'm excited about seeing how physical control, which is something that will never go away.
Right.
People need a button to push sometimes, but to be able to integrate that with the cloud. One of the things that Epiphan has done recently is we've released our REST API right in our devices. So if you want to integrate that hardware edge of a Perl device into your workflow, it's now that much easier for someone to develop the system that works for them and to really refine and create that great experience for the end user.
And I think that's key. That's something I really like about Epiphan that you guys have done, is kind of like provide a different set of options and enabling people to be able to do that. You know? And I think that's just, to me, from an operations perspective, when you're running a production or you're putting something together with a client or building something out, that additional functionality, say, okay, well, do you use this, right? And give them another option to say they can further help automate or, refine the process, make it easier.
Yeah, totally. And, our philosophy at Epiphan is we want to create that sort of open infrastructure, right? So whether you're using Crestron, Extron, or Qsys touch panel, or maybe you're using a Stream Deck.
Right.
So we just released a new Stream Deck plugin that makes it even fat. People are already using BitFocus to enable their Stream Deck experience, but now we made it even easier with the plugin. So, we're just always looking for ways to help the video administrators and IT and AV pros to just make the Perl devices even broader integration across all the ways that people want to connect their video in their applications.
Well, I'm excited, and I'm excited about what you guys are doing, and I'm excited. So, folks, I'm going to put a link to Epiphan, some of the things we've talked about in this video, for you to check out. Go online, go to the Epiphan website. If you've got any questions, let me or Dan know, right? Put them in the comments. Whatever you have. I'm happy to make the connection with Epiphan. They've been great to work with. And Dan, thank you so much.
Oh, always a pleasure, John.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Well, everybody, thank you for joining with us in this video. If you have any questions, again, let us know, and we will talk to you in the next session. Thank you.